Good evening, everyone. Today is Monday, August 4th, 2025. Date for Tuesday the 5th. All right, let's go. Well, we have one new setup in here tonight. Both of these obviously are very risky, low priced, and high percentage stops. Point stops, I guess, not that big, but based on the price of the stock, the percentage stops are huge, but that's okay. That's what they're calling for, and that's why we compensate by trading fewer shares. The good news is you don't put a whole lot of capital or a whole lot of margin, I should say, however you want to look at it, up for these when they're lower price like this. But anyway, ABCL, we'll take a look at that in just 1 second. Not a bad day in the portfolio at all. I'd like to see this BTM and VG get back in black, but hey, one day at a time. Raise your stop on KGC. Nice little breakout there. We'll get to that in just 1 second. One short here tonight. I don't see any reason to short anything at this juncture. I'd just like to show you, obviously, what I'm seeing as I see it. SLDP still looks like it has potential. Came down to nearly tagged that 30, and now it looks like it wants to go back up. So that's an interesting setup there. I also like the ABCL. I've been watching this one for a while. Obviously pretty volatile in here. It does have little issues, or some issues I should say, longer term, but over the short to intermediate term looks pretty good, and that might be a good problem to have if it rallies up that far. Let's take a look at what else is happening. Couple of these, there's a couple of biotechs, other biotechs, I should say, setting up, and some of these crypto stocks are beginning to set up again. Lithium is somewhere in here, or lithium has been doing well. No, it's not in here. I guess, yeah, here it is, Argentina lithium. It's got some issues here, but I just want to show you that it is setting up along with some of those rare earths. Let's take a look at the, let's take a look at the portfolio, and then we'll drill down to some sector action. First of all, BTM, finally a little bit of a bounce there, better than the poke in the eye. We need a few more days like that, obviously. Finding a little support at its recent little dip in here, so that's certainly a good thing. KGC, speaking of good break it out to all-time highs with a little bit of vigor. Katos, not a bad day there, just off of these all-time highs, at least on a closing basis, getting pretty close once again. TFPM, nice little bounce there. Gold, as you'll see in 1 second, was up nicely today. TJ kind of off to the races to all-time highs, but came back by the end of the day, but still looks pretty good longer term. And VG, kind of flatsville, a bit of a bummer there, obviously. On your stops just in case. And I hate to use the word hope, but hopefully that'll be my dead money report for next week or the week after or the week after that. Let's take a look at the overall market and drill down. First of all, S&P 500, not a bad day there. We closed the gap, so that's always a good thing, up 1% and almost a half. We're not too far away from those all-time highs. NASDAQ Composite, same sort of action there too, pretty much closing the gap for the most part, nearly 2% on the day. Rusty 2000, bring up the rear. Yeah, finally catching a bid, up 2.25%. It's got a little overhead supply to deal with short term and a little bit more longer term, but it looks okay. For now, I'd like to see it rally, obviously. Gold, as I said a second ago, decent day there. More impressive with the gold stocks. Look at that. Bam, brand new highs there. I'm not going to argue with that. Cybersecurity, I should say, coming back a little in here, but it has its work cut out for it. So far, it looks like the recent breakout at least, has failed. Broke a deal, a nice little bounce back, not too far away from all-time highs. Biotech had a decent day. It still has overhead supply, but as you can see from the Landry list, with the Landry 100, we're seeing a lot of biotech in there. Software bouncing back a little bit. You know me, I sure like to say get back up to its old highs and beyond. Defense, not a bad day there, just smidge off of all-time closing highs. So that's certainly and obviously a good thing. Pot stocks back to bottoming out again, as I've been saying quite a bit. It looks like it's be more of a process than event, but so far so good there. The other ones like YOLO and what's the other one there? Weed, I believe, and those are thinner ETFs, but those also had a decent day. Cloud computing bouncing back a little bit, still has overhead supply to get through. Semiconductors, not a bad day there. I'd like to see them get back well above this prior peak in here, but so far so good. Still looking pretty good longer term. Like I said a second ago, uranium coming back, a little bit of a bounce there. Uranium stocks coming back too. Financials, a little bit of a decent update there. It still has a gap, though, based on Friday's action. So all of Friday's action has not been erased. But overall, again, things still look pretty good. Utilities banging on new highs with a little bit of vigor. Some of these utilities are actually starting to look like momentum stocks, so I find that kind of interesting. And then finally, metals and mining overall, decent day there, beginning to rally out of a pullback, out of this nice little Landry light pullback. So that's a pretty good looking setup right there in and of itself. If you're looking for some exposure to the metals and mining. I think that's pretty much it for tonight. You know the routine. Take things one day at a time. Stop if you heard that before. Everybody have a fantastic night. If you have any questions, Dave@Landry.com or hit me up on Facebook. Thank you so much.